Welcome to the Mitcham History Notes YouTube channel. Today's video in the Lost Pubs series, 3 lost pubs in Croydon. But what's the connection to Mitcham, you might ask? Well, a friend of mine, who I've known since we were at Bomb Road Primary School in Mitcham, back in the 60s, has recently passed away. When he'd moved to Croydon in the middle of the 80s, I think his father actually won a house in a GLC lottery. Anyway, he moved nearer to Selhurst, I suppose, and I used to visit him and go to his local pubs. So, these 3 lost pubs are the ones we frequented. Let's get started. Before they moved to Croydon, I used to go drinking with him at the Bull in Church Road in Mitcham, where we drank Young's Special. So when he moved to Croydon, he was just across the road from the Gloucester, the Young's pub on White Horse Road, near the corner of Windmill Road. So naturally, when I met up with him, we drank Young's Special in there. What I know about the history of the pub comes from 2 sources. Helen Osborne's book, In and Around London, A History of Young's Pubs. And this photograph shows the pub before the Second World War. This photograph from Helen's book shows the pub after the Second World War. And my second source of information, in the Croydon Advertiser, Friday the 1st December 1961, that I came across in the Young's archives. And the article read, "After more than 17 long dry years, the first pint of bitter was poured at the Gloucester Public House in White Horse Road, West Croydon, on Friday. It was drawn by Managing Director of Young's Brewery, Squadron Leader C. Dudley Palmer, after a brief ceremony to mark the opening of the new building. It replaces the old building that was put up more than 100 years ago. In 1944, after a series of bomber and doodlebug raids, it was demolished. For sentimental reasons, the new pub has been given a Georgian design, right down to the ornamental clock in the spacious lounge, which will warn customers when it is time. It's just wonderful. This is my homecoming," beamed the licensee, 54-year-old Mr. Charlie Orth, who was born in Westbury Road, Croydon. Mr. and Mrs. Orth were married at Holy Trinity Church, South Norwood, and for 15 months afterwards they lived in a flat next door to the Selhurst Arms. In his younger days, Mr. Orth was keen on motorcycle racing and rode at Brands Hatch and Orpington. Well, at some point the beer went down in quality, and towards the end of the 90s, I guess, and we moved on from there. What happened to the building? Well, this planning application from Croydon Council's website shows June 2002, planning permission for demolition of existing buildings, erection of a 2-storey building for use. Yes, I think it became a Tesco Express, and I won't bother showing you a photograph of that. So, before the Gloucester closed, we moved to the Fishermans Arms in Windmill Road, Fuller's pub, so we drank ESB there, which was very nice. Now, this photograph is from Google Street View. Even though my friend and myself were keen photographers, and in fact, just along from there was a Mr. CAD for everything photographic. But despite our interest in photography, we never took any photographs of these pubs. And therefore I'm using Google Street Views. So this is a 2008 Google Street View, the most recent one that shows the Fuller's signage on it. What happened next? Not sure, don't know when Fuller's actually left. But in 2015 it was called The Hut, bar and restaurant. And the most recent Google Street View of 2024 shows it as a restaurant, shisha lounge type place. So from the Fishermans Arms, we then went to the Clocktower. Now this is an Ordnance Survey map from around the 1950s. You can see on the left hand side, ye old Fisherman's Arms, PH, public house. And I think on an earlier map there was a row of cottages there called the Fisherman's Cottages, which is probably how the pub got its name, or perhaps the cottages got their name from the pub. I don't know. Anyway, that pub did have a very large garden. So, but in the centre of the photograph, the clock factory, the Bell Foundry and Clock Factory. This was the company Gillett and Johnson, which made clocks and bells and what have you. And they had a clock tower, which is apparently why the pub was called the Clock Tower. But I'm getting ahead of myself here, because the notes I made some time ago was that from the Croydon Camera website, the pub was originally called the Old Mail Coach. In 1932 it was selling Noakes owls, and there's an 1839 directory that showed it as Mail Coach, Thomas Daniels, Croydon Common. So this area was originally Croydon Common, which is completely lost now to housing. Anyway, this is what it looked like in 2016 on Google Street View. And that may well have been the last year it was in business. 2017 Google Street View shows a freehold for sale sign in the middle there, and it's got sold written across it. And in 2024 it was demolished and up for auction. So it hasn't been developed yet. Get in quick. So thank you very much for watching this brief overview of 3 pubs I used to frequent in Croydon, although you might say more like West Croydon or Selhurst. And if you liked it, press the like button and consider subscribing. Bye for now.